Hi again, it's Jason from Fraser Valley Rose Farm, and if you've watched my channel for a while, you know that I lack the discipline to stick firmly to one topic area, running a field between specialty rose videos, general gardening, propagation, backyard nursery and business, farmsteading topics. Well, where do I get my inspiration for these videos? And obviously there's a lot of real life stuck in there, but when I have my spare time, when I'm looking on YouTube, I find some other YouTubers to be inspirational in these regards. So I thought I'd share those guys with you today since you're kind of interested in the same topics. So first on the specialty rose end, I did a video a while back where I talked about some of my favorite rose influencers, but I missed one because she's rather brand new. Her name is Olga Carmody. I want to show you the preview of the channel right now. I think she's down, I'm going to get the state wrong, I think it's Connecticut, but anyway, beautifully visual channel to do with a lot of these and David Austin roses, I think particularly. Beautiful garden, very relaxing and tranquil. So I would recommend you check that one out. It's still a small channel at this point, but I think there's probably good things. And I think we can never do with enough specialty rose channels, so that's my bias on the matter. Now, when I want to dig into general gardening or horticulture topics, Jim Putnam is my favorite guy, bar none. No disrespect to anybody else. He's from the channel HortTube with Jim Putnam. What I love about his channel is that he brings a level of professionalism and industry connectedness that I think is second to none. If you want to know what's the best cultivar of potentilla or pyrrhus to put in your garden, he doesn't mind getting his hands dirty and getting right into that topic. He does frequent Q&As. I don't know if there's anybody who works quite so hard as Jim Putnam, putting out, sometimes I see 2 to 3 really solid video topics a week, so definitely worth checking out that channel. Next up, I want to talk about the issue of doing a backyard nursery. And you know, obviously, I do a number of videos in that topic area where I talk about pricing or how to set up a backyard nursery or a plant sale. One other guy who's jumped in there as well is a channel called Savvy Dirt Farmer, which I like a lot. You know, really shows how to do it from the ground up with not that much money, just in the backyard, kind of suburban setting. Lots of great tips on how to divide plants and propagate plants, and just really how to make a business out of this. So a man of my own heart is what I would say, is that trying to make things work on a small scale for average people, I think is a fantastic topic area. My plant propagation guy is Mike Kincaid. That's the next channel I wanted to feature here. Been watching him for a long time. Lots of growth in that channel, and he's done some great videos on propagating rhododendrons, roses, hydrangeas. I mean, basically you name it. If it's a temperate shrub or perennial, he may have tried it out, and he has a lot of great tips on which rooting hormones to use, which soil to use, growing conditions, and everything. All the little dirty details that sometimes I don't go into in a very specific way. He doesn't mind doing full topics on those, so I think he's a great service to the plant propagation community. The fifth and final channel I want to highlight today is an oldie but a goodie. This is the urban farmer Curtis Stone, or at least that's the way he used to be known. This was that scrappy guy you'd see riding his bike around the streets of Kelowna with a little trailer behind him, harvesting salad greens out of other people's yards, with permission of course, and selling them off to local restaurants. And he was kind of that story of how you could become an urban farmer without owning a whole ton of land yourself. And that was a cool and compelling story, so I like to watch that. And of course, what he's exceptional for is he hasn't been afraid to change over time. So he's moved from being the urban farmer guy, and now he's doing off-grid. So he's showing how he's got a property and how he's setting up you know, electrical power, fresh water, growing his own food, and becoming kind of self-sufficient for himself and his family in a world that isn't always the most stable. And so it's kind of a compelling story in a very different way. And every step along the change from being that urban farmer guy to being that off-grid guy, he's documented that, and along the way he's become kind of he's created quite a library of topics with him and his friends that he now has on an off-site, YouTube platform site called FromTheField.tv. I think all of this is quite inspiring from my point of view, both from an ambition point of view and just from a personal growth point of view, when you're willing to change and bring people along the journey with you. Now, part of being that transparent with his YouTube audience has been that sometimes he's been very forthcoming about his political views or his views on the world, which aren't exactly mainstream, I have to say. Although I have a lot in common with him in general, with being ethically a libertarian, he goes a little more into detail. He has one of those minds that has to take things apart and drill down into the details, I think. So he's gone into and looked into the issues around 5G and New World Order and the pandemic and everything else in a way that's kind of counterculture. And you know what? At first when I saw that, I was like, well, Curtis, why wouldn't you just keep that to yourself? I mean, isn't it going to turn people off if you see this? But then I'm like, well, why should he? I mean, if he's looking at the world a certain way, does that have to be behind a filter? Or can we just be adults about this and expose ourselves and expose our views to the world, and then people can agree or disagree, and that's fine. I think I'm firmly in that camp now, is I can really value the fact that somebody is willing to grow and change, but also be transparent in his views. So for that, I give him another round of applause. All right, that's it for my 5 choices of YouTube channels that I'm watching these days. And if you have any questions about those, please drop them into the comments below the video.